Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Student of the Game. I am Kyle Ash, the Student of the Game. And listen, if you're here, chances are you like talking sport. We're grateful you'll do it with us here tonight. Of course, you're watching the streams. Thank you oh so much once again for putting in your 2 cents and your contribution into the proverbial coffer. We're glad to have you. By the way, check out the podcast if you do miss the stream and all that other stuff. That's a thing that's there. But let's go ahead and get right into it. Because listen, I know this is a relatively air quotes old topic, but I would be remiss if I did not at least engage this opinion, because I do have something different. Of course, I'm referring to Caitlin Clark not being included in the WNBA, or excuse me, in the USA Olympic team. And there's a number of reasons for it. And I know the main proponents of it aren't necessarily about her talent level. I don't know that she's the best 12 to 15. And to be honest, I don't feel confident enough in my knowledge of that particular arena of sport to make that assessment. But I think it's tough to expect any rookie to be in the top or 12 or 15 players to make a team like that right off the bat. You know, I'm one of these that as a youth in 1992, I never understood Christian Laettner, and then I saw The Last Dance and something Isaiah. I'm joking there, of course, about how old I am, but here's the thing. I know that the response typically is that she should be included, Caitlin Clark, on the USA Olympic team for women's basketball because of the notoriety it would bring, and indeed 100% that is accurate. However, somebody smart and self-aware, or perhaps maybe let's just say some of the gatekeeping associated with this, fair or not, true or not, may have worked in the favor of the USA Women's Basketball organization and the committee and the Olympic committee that put the team together and all this other stuff, because they did have their criteria, right? The head of the committee went out and made a statement about that Caitlin Clark did not make that criteria for what it was they were looking for, thanks to the 3-point conversion, by the way, to show that to us. Thanks, Raphael Haynes. Bing! But either way, we were gonna talk about Caitlin Clark and her inclusion or exclusion from the USA Olympic team. Either way, that is a known quantity. But Kyle, aren't they going to want those numbers for the Olympics? And listen, for the short term, maybe that's a good thing. I think they would definitely gain from that from the short term. That is not the question in my mind, and it shouldn't be. I wonder if there's something at play with the long game per se. And yes, I know part of it is, hey, it's 4 years out. We don't know if Caitlin Clark would still be relevant in 4 years, though the safe assumption is she probably will be. And if she's not, her return to the Olympic team would certainly be a story at that time, and it will add clicks to whatever is going on to USA women's basketball at that moment, unless by then Juju Watkins is involved. She'll be part of next year's class. Trust me, you're going to want to watch her just a little bit. But over and above the fact that we're already talking about we, the members of the media, for better, for worse, for smarter or ignorant, and in my case, I might sound a little ignorant too. Please feel free to teach and correct me. I am still learning. This show is not just cleverly called the Student of the Game. I am actually trying to have a discussion and learn things, right? But since we're going to talk about it anyway, and since Caitlin Clark's already building the WNBA, I think someone out there is relying on the build that's already taking place in this country surrounding the conversation with women's basketball. In other words, somebody out there, in my belief, has made the calculated assumption that that ship is already in the right direction to increase what notoriety the women's team would have gotten, and by extension, bring more attention to the members, the existing air quotes members of women's basketball in the U.S. I mean, I shouldn't say air quotes, the existing players, which, by the way, for all the people outraged about the concept that Caitlin Clark is being asked to join the Olympic team, and I get, there's a little bit of a Jeremy Lin kind of feel here. Like, what, you were good for like 7 games and now they want you in the in the NBA All-Star game? What are we doing here? That was Lin's sanity. No, that's not just me making a dad joke. That is something that happened. Now, if you were sick and weren't able to watch that game because you were in bed resting and you were suffering from influenza, that's a dad joke. But anyways, no, this is an opportunity to put shine on existing players, though. I mean, in other words, non-rookie players, top players. The way that media members who were trying to scold those who would claim that Caitlin Clark is the right move, instead of scolding people about who isn't on the team and them thinking they should be, why am I not seeing more shine about the players who are? Where are the pieces? Where is the attention? Where is the accolades out there in the national media about putting shine on who the players are? And listen, I get it. Somebody got their hand slapped on Stephen A. Smith specifically got his hand slapped on his show on ESPN. Oh, well, you could have been talking about the WNBA 3 years ago. No, he couldn't. It wasn't a moneymaker. It's a non sequitur. Stop it. However, everybody who's in the national media can now talk about the WNBA. And in order to get any information on the players that made the team, I got to dig way harder than I should for a league that's allegedly up and coming in a way it never has been before. That is a mishandling. The only outlet I've seen, again, giving shouts to my good friends at the 3-point conversion, even list the team on their social media, is them. What are we doing? If you want to complain that you think Caitlin Clark should be on the team, cool. But can you drop at least Asia Wilson's name? That'd be nice. That'd be a thing you could do. Can you talk about somebody other than Diana Taurasi, who, correctly, by the way, made a legitimate question about not Caitlin Clark necessarily entering the WNBA, but a rookie entering into a league? Which, by the way, Magic Johnson's out there. I forget which late show it was. If it was, I hate Jimmy Fallon, but if it's Jimmy Fallon or which late night show it was, but he's out there saying Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are getting treatment no different than he or Larry Bird would have gotten when they entered the league as rookies decades ago in a different sport and arena. I mean, it's not a different sport. It's still basketball, but it's the NBA, not the WNBA. Why is there not more shine put on the members, existing members, the ones that made the women's Olympic team, instead of just, well, Caitlin Clark should have been on there because she's so popular? I don't understand what's going on. And trust me, I get the popularity of Caitlin Clark. I also get the very practical defense that perhaps this is a miscalculation to an extent by the WNBA, scheduling her for 11 games in the first 20 nights. That's rough for any professional athlete. I don't care if you're a ping pong professional, like, for what you're supposed to do to prepare and then just jump right out. I mean, it's just really hard for me to be told how right or wrong I am with a particular stance by a media group that is also, I shouldn't say just a media group, that sounds like it's one company, but like members of the craft of sports media, if you want to call it that, because then that way it's more all-encompassing, who spend all the time whining, complaining about Caitlin Clark and can't do anything to name a player that hasn't been an active player that hasn't been publicly critical of Caitlin Clark in the national press. I don't know. It seems like a bit of a misstep and kind of a double talk to me, but what do I know? I'm just a student of the game. I'm here, listen, I know this either way. And I think, like I said, this is the calculated risk women's basketball is taking. Either way, I'm going to be watching more Olympic women's basketball. We all in this country are going to be watching more women's Olympic basketball either way. That's why I think it's really kind of a win-win, and playing the long game isn't necessarily a bad move for the. Can you imagine the hype then too? Like if Caitlin Clark's still doing good things and Juju Watkins pans, you're gonna have Juju Watkins and Caitlin Clark making her first Olympic team after getting snubbed. Bro, the story on that's ridiculous. You're looking, now that I said that, you're thinking more about 2028 USA women's basketball than ever before. And that's what they're betting on. Or maybe their arrogance is just taking them into a good direction. I don't know. I'm not going full Charles Barkley and saying, y'all petty. But I'm also unprepared to take that off the table because I can't prove to the contrary either. But I do believe that it's not the disaster that everybody's making it out to be. Like the acknowledged absence of Aaron Charles Rodgers from Jets minicamp is more of a problem in my mind than this, which isn't that big of a problem either, since he informed the Jets well in advance and they didn't push back then. You can blame Aaron Rodgers all you want, and that's pretty easy to do. I get it. He's a repeat offender for being one who commits shenanigans and things publicly. But I'm putting that one on the Jets, folks. Okay? Dude told you, hey, listen, I know the dates for minicamp aren't out, but I got this. Why didn't you push back then? You that unorganized that you think that might be a possibility? Hell, I knew the date of Jacksonville Jaguars minicamp months ago, before May. And I'm not in an organization. I did go there and cover Jacksonville Jaguar minicamp, doing my thing with Jaguars on SI. Bing! Shouts to John Sipley, my editor, of course, doing some work with my friend Travis Holmes. Bing! Of the Duval Dive, which will be on Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern. Check that out. By the way, check out and subscribe to, please, the brand new Duval Dive YouTube channel. Bing! Superior Bing on that. And yeah, you know, I even talked to Mark Moses about it there on the Mark Moses show. Bing, over here, Space Coast Radio doing the thing. I'm making the rounds. I knew what minicamp was. It's not my fault the Jets didn't know when their own damn minicamp was, and nor should it be Aaron Charles Rodgers'. Now, if you want to hate on Aaron Charles Rodgers anyway, because I know people out there that will, shouts to my dude, Big Jim Neese, Bing, Huddle Up Podcast. He's like, why do you always talk about me on your show? Hey, is my statement wrong? Are you claiming defamation, or are you going to move on? I'm naming you because you're a teammate, and I'm streaming on your YouTube channel. I want to throw you some cred, bro. I'm the one that's still broadcasting on you. Okay, now I'm taking shots. But seriously, man, listen. At some point, the front office has to be held responsible. And here's the thing about it with, I know I translated to transferred over the Jets without even thinking about it, but okay, I'll roll with it. But here's the thing. Everybody's getting on Robert Saleh's case. Why? I think, considering the dysfunction, he's doing what he can. When Tim Boyle was your effing backup quarterback, and you had to bring in Nathaniel Hackett, the damage of which is still being repaired by Sean Payton in Denver, and y'all dummies gave him a game ball for beating him. Oh my God! But it's Aaron Rodgers that's the problem. Please, by all means, let's put it on the quarterback who's did what as best as he could to inform people. Oh my gosh, the New York Jets, man. What? Why? Gosh, I almost want to take up a collection. Like, honestly, in a world where the AFC East is reshaping to be contenders, the Jets should be what makes this that division a three-headed monster. And it's the front office that prevents it from happening. Hey, look, listen, it's all good. It's all good. I have no problem. Robert Saleh hits the market again after this year. I have no problem if Kyle Shanahan hires him back to run that defense for at least a year. If I'm a Niners fan, which I happen to be one. Bing, I guess. That's not a bing. Anyways, I don't know, man. It's a tough thing for me. I had no idea I needed that much therapy talking about the Jets, but here we are. Anyways, you know what? That's enough. Let's transfer to the NBA Finals, man. And I'll say this. The tough thing about having a show on Wednesday night is when the NBA has a game 3 of a series on, because the game started at 8:30 and this week's edition started at 9:30, I don't know if the series has actually started yet until after the show ends, because a series never truly begins until somebody wins on the road or you make it to game 7. And I know all we're hearing about from Boston and all the chirping is how Boston is currently dominating the series. And listen, were I a Celtics fan, I would be rightfully insecure about the way the public has treated my team. I know that the Celtics have strolled through the East, a weakened, dilapidated, sorry East compared to the West anyway. I know that a lot of questions have been made about whether or not this is the easiest run to the finals that any NBA team has. The way I know that is because when you see a Celtics fan and that question is asked, all they say is they don't answer yes or no. They just go, well, they can't control who's in front of them. Sure, that doesn't change the question. By the way, why are we giving more props to Kristaps Porzingis? Oh, wait, you finally got around to catching up with me and my guy Shukri Wrights, who had this Kristaps Porzingis love fest 2 weeks ago. Welcome to the party, pal. Actually, come to think of it, like, if you put a bit... Now, anyways, I don't know. That joke's going to die hard. Anyways, listen, here's my whole thing, guys. I don't mind you, as a Celtics fan, pointing out that they can't control the road. It's not like if it was Bill Belichick and you cheated and tried to control the path. It's not like that. I'm not trying to say that that's the case for the Celtics, okay? But I mean, walk through it, right? Hemi Butler hurt, made that series easy, right? There were so many people missing in the East, it didn't matter which direction they went. Whether they faced Joel Embiid, which they didn't, he was hurt, and then the Knicks were torn apart, so that wasn't a factor. You took care of the Bucks because not only was Giannis Antetokounmpo a non-factor to injuries, again, it's going to be like Joel Embiid that way, minus having one ring, of course. But you also took their best perimeter defender off their team and added him to yours. Which, by the way, why are we not talking more about Jrue Holiday in these finals? But we'll get to that in a minute. You've had injuries pave the road nice and smooth for you. And then when you get to the Western Conference Finals, are you facing Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets? Nope. A team specifically designed to beat them got in their path. And then that same team couldn't stop Luka Doncic. And now Luka is somewhat limited. Granted, he is doing way more than I thought he would have on the injury, and I acknowledge that. Man, he's been doing amazing things. But you know what you did get? A mentally weak Kyrie Irving falling apart in games 1 and 2. And it's interesting because with the game half over, 2 players have started to make appearances where they haven't to this point in this final series, and that's both Jason Tatum and Kyrie Irving. Celtics at some point in time in both cases. Boy, howdy, let me tell you. But nobody's talking about Jrue Holiday, who's averaging 18 points a game in these finals in the first 2 games. Granted, he's scoring so less significantly so far. But Kristaps Porzingis missing, Kyrie Irving turning it up. People who thought this series was already over should have, I don't want to say excreted a brick, but should surely have wavered in their confidence when news of Porzingis' injury situation resurfaced. He was out and limited for basically a month, and here he comes ready to attack. And now it's to the point where he says, I will even die on the court if I have to. And then the coach steps in and says, no, we're taking that out of his hands. This guy is so hurt, yet so anxious to play. We need to protect him from himself. Props to coach for getting in the way, man. Because I'll tell you what, Porzingis is going to be a factor beyond these finals, win or lose. He's going to be a factor in the coming seasons, provided he can stay healthier. And listen, what they're asking to do is a 38-year-old man and Al Horford having to do a job and fill in. Hope he does if I'm a Celtics fan. But a Celtics team can be really good and have an easy road. And if they stay as dominant as they were alleged to have been in the first 2 games, because the first game was pretty dominant. Second game, the scoreboard made it close, but let's be honest, when Jason Tatum's doing what he's not doing and the team still wins significantly, that's a thing. And I get part of that is I think, listen, man, and I'm not mad. I have been anti-Kyrie for some time until this season where he and Luka managed to get this team this far. For my money, the Mavs are playing with house money. Who had the Mavericks in the finals? No, you didn't. Shut up. Okay? Like, what are we doing? But the fact that Kyrie's finding it again in this game, I think last I checked, nearing the half, he had 18 points. Let me see if I could double check that while I'm talking here. But like, Kyrie's coming back on here in game 3, trying to prevent the Celtics from actually starting the series by winning a game. Drew Holiday is not on pace to continue averaging 18 points. Kyrie's actually outscoring Luka right now at the half, 20 points to 17. Kyrie Irving coming back to life. And let's say the Mavs hold serve in these 2 games, which is bold. I understand. Everybody, I don't think anybody's doubting roster-wise that Boston has the better roster. But if Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic can continue, right? I mean, if they go on this pace, it's going to be 40 and 34, right? If they combine for 74 points, that's a winning recipe, right? Granted, it's only a 1-point game. And like I said, Jason Tatum decided to show up for this game. He's got 20. Whereas the best player on the Celtics, according to Jason Kidd, Jaylen Brown, only has 6, right? Al Horford has 8.5. I mean, that's him doing his best to step in for Kristaps. I can't front on that. I don't. What name is more fun to say, Kristaps or Porzingis? Either are fun. Anyways, I don't know. But folks, for those who thought this series was over after 2 games, apparently learned nothing from this season, apparently learned nothing from last year when the Heat were up 2-0 at this time. Well, not this time. It was in the Eastern Conference final, right? I don't think this series is over as implied, especially with it being 51-50 at half. Now, who knows? Like I said, we don't know if the series actually started and if the Celtics won until after this. Maybe they'll win by a point. Maybe they'll blow the doors off of Kyrie Irving, and that 20 is all he'll score for the night. Listen, anything can still happen. But there was a lot of ground to be gained, a lot of stuff still to be figured out before we started declaring victory. Definitely, definitely declared the game over entirely or games over, right? Entirely too soon. I don't know. Anyways. So I'll say this, folks. Normally, I would have a lot more to say about what went on, but a lot of my week was spent covering Jacksonville Jaguar minicamp, and I want that action to be seen with my guy, Travis Holmes. I was there for the first day. He was there for all 3 days. The Duval dive will be in full effect. And who knows? But hey, listen, I'm also willing to prop next Monday, the In or Out Sports Debate Show happening. I called out one Cole Johnson to come in and do the thing with me, and he's agreed. He told me the mistake that I made was that I opened my mouth. Well, that's very fascinating. It's very fascinating. Be looking forward to Monday, because since you opened that can, it is your move, Cole Johnson, with a V. Anyways, shouts to there. By the way, make sure you look out next week with EJ Christian. I'll be wrapping up the NBA. That'll be fun. Like I said, Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, Duval Dive. And of course, you can check that out on any of the streams mentioned. The Duval Dive YouTube page, please check that out. And of course, it'll be on the Student of the Game podcast there too, if you have an aversion to looking at my face. I don't blame you if you do. But listen, a great time all the way around. An honor, joy, and privilege, friends. Thanks to all for jumping in, but we'll catch you next week when we'll be right. Listen, I'm pretty certain we'll be wrapping up the NBA Finals. But until next time, everyone, class dismissed.